time.
We are. It's going to be
Sure,
good.
we're going to have a nice time. And we're enjoying you here. And I hope I'll be able to talk.
Oh, you'll do fine.
I'm going to try.
You'll do well.
I'm going to try.
I already talked to you. I know you're going to do well.
Yeah, I'm going to try. It's tough.
Okay. The date is March 23rd, 1995. The survivor is Helen Lefkowitz. The interviewer is Marvin Greenberg. The language is English. And this is tape number 1. The date is March 23rd, 1995. My name is Marvin Greenberg, and I am interviewing Helen Lefkowitz, who's sitting here with me. Good morning. Could you tell us something about your town and where you were born and when you were born?
My name is Helen Lefkowitz. I was born in a small town, Alexandrov by Lodz. And there was, most of the town there was German people, very wealthy, Polacks and Jews. And we had a grocery. My mother was very active in the grocery. And just before the war, one of our neighbors, a German, came in and he was sitting in that store every day. And my mother couldn't understand why is he watching us? Why is he sitting there? Then after the war, we found out that he took over our place because there was still a lot of food. There was a grocery. So they made like a storage or whatever they did. They took it over. Because when I went back after the war, and I couldn't open my eyes, the walls were with holes. They must have shelves made or whatever. And we didn't even bother. And first of all, they said the house don't belong to us anymore. There was still the name on the house, my father's name, in the government. Not the government, I mean the city. They said that the house doesn't belong to us. So we just let it go. That's all, because we couldn't stay anyway in Poland. They still had the army on the fields there. We heard them shooting there. And with the baby, I said we're going to run.
Yes. When were you born?
I was born in March in 1917, March the 25th.
And tell me something about how the town was.
The town, we had a big rabbi, a tzaddik they called it. They used to come, the Hasidim, to him every holiday. It was a very funny thing. We teenagers used to go all the time and watch them, how the Hasidim was hanging on the ropes and just looking, they wanted to talk to the rabbi, looking at the rabbi. There was like a god for people. So then we had a shul. And my parents, every Saturday, my mother went to the synagogue. And Saturday the store was closed. Friday afternoon, no matter how busy it was, the store was closed, and Saturday was closed. Holidays. And a lot of Jews belonged to little shtibels, they call it. They had like little sects, Hasidic. So one of these Hasidic sects, my father belonged. He wasn't a Hasid. No, he belonged to that. He didn't like the shul because they were always quarreling about it, rabbi about it, kenter about it. He didn't like that. So he went there to daven and pray there. And my mother went to shul and took me alone. I, had to follow her, holding the book. And it was a nice life, family together. My mother had an aunt right next to her, my grandfather's sister. He built a house. He was in real estate, my grandfather, my mother's father. So he built a house for his sister. He built a house for us, for my mother. And there were some uncles in town, and there was cousins. It was a social, very nice. The holiday was holiday. Everything was really, we celebrate all the holidays. We didn't have luxury. We didn't have air conditions. We didn't have central heat, or we didn't have the water like here. We have sewers and all that. No, we were happy. We didn't see better, so we didn't use better, and we were happy life. I belonged to organization Maccabi. This was like sport. We went there every Sunday exercising, and also belonged to Gordonia. This was partyish. This was from a party, very called party. This was like here, let's say, the Republicans or what. It was political. So we get also the teenagers. We danced, we played, we sing. It was a nice little life. And if you wanted to see a show, we took a horse and wagon and went to Lodge. It took us, with the wagon took us for half an hour, and with the streetcar took us 15 minutes. No, the streetcar just went till 12 o'clock. We wanted to come home later from the show or a big movie. We had one movie in our town. No, we wanted to see a nice picture, better picture. We went to Lodge. Yeah, and there we met already our friends, and all the time we were singing, going there. We really had a nice life, because we didn't see better, so we didn't need better. And food we had, clothes we had, so what else you need? And friends you have, a social life, so we were very happy. It's a little town, and we were happy. Till we heard what's going on in Germany, and Hitler came on the Macht. We heard already it's going to be a war. No, my brother, I was living with my younger brother, with my parents, just the two of us. I had an older brother was married, had a wife and a child, and my older sister was also married. They lived in a different town with a little boy. I'll show you the picture of the little boy, my sisters. And we were happy kids in the house. We had already a radio, because not everybody had radios then. And my brother was always politic. He went to college, to Lodge. He traveled every day, my brother. Not everybody could afford it in town. My parents could afford it, so they sent him. So he talked with the Germans politic. And when Hitler came in, they were looking for him. They were also looking for my older brother. So my mother said, what's going to be? And then my younger brother was hiding by one of our professors in Lodge. He was hiding there, and I used to bring a little food every time when we still could go on the tramway, the streetcars. Later, we couldn't go anymore on the streetcars. So my mother was afraid, how is he going to live there without food? And she loved him. That was the youngest. It was her baby. And my mother said, you know what? We heard already people running on the Russian side. That time the Russian came in, took a part of Poland. So my mother said, you better go, because if they're going to follow you where my brother lived, they're going to kill you both. So she said, go, run away. We are old people. What are they going to do to us? The Germans were very good, she said to us, First World War. And the Russians, she said, wasn't so good. So what are they going to do? We old people, she said, they weren't so old, but we never harmed nobody. They were really good with the Germans, with the Polacks. They were good in town. They was liked it. What are they going to do to us? She didn't want to believe. Anyway, I went to Lodge. I couldn't go already on the tramway. We did it, took a horse, took a wagon, we did it. We had money, so we could do it. And I came to my brother, I said, you know what? Mama gave me a little money. She made me like a gorset and pushed in, took out the wires and pushed in some silver money. We had big coins. And she said, Mama said we should run to Bialystok, to on the Russian side. So we started running. So first we went Warsaw. Warsaw was our here Washington was Warsaw. And from there we started heading to the border. We started heading from one train, jump off, from the other train went on, and during the nights, and we were laying on the streets, only going closer to the border. We came to the border. There was a lake, and the Polacks staying there and taking us over with little boats, little tiny those boats they made, and they shipped us on the other side, on the Russian side. Whoever had money. I took out money and I paid the Polak, and took for the other people too, I paid because he wouldn't take us, just the two of us. So he took us on the other side border, on the Russian side.
Name of that lake?
Buk, Reka Buk. I don't know how.
Jacob Buk?
Reka is a river, is a lake, they call it. No, the name was Buk.
Do you know how to spell that? Or?
Buk, I don't know.
Okay.
There was in Russian and Polish. Anyway, we went that. And from the other side, we saw already there on the border, in dark, everything was dark at night. We saw already walking little fellas with long coats. This was the army, we didn't know it. And the Polak let us off, not till the end. He let us off in the water, wet, dark. But we had a little baggage, we had a little clothes, everything got wet. Anyway, we climbed over, we went on the border. And there was a lot of people escaped. And the Russian comes over. First of all, the soldiers, they were looking for watches. Chashiki, they used to call it. They were looking for watches, and they went right away on, they saw nice baggage somebody had, they was right away looking. They were poor, they were, so we started crying. Why are we going to, we cold, we wet. He said, wait, I'll go. Took a horse, and he went. He said, I'm going to ask Stalin what I should do with you all
Who
people.
said that?
The soldier.
Oh.
So we lay there, dark, wet, hungry, tired, and he comes back. He said, Stalin said, go. Oh, when we heard go. And my brother started running, so he right away goes to shoot him. So I run in front of him, and I start begging him in Polish. I was a blonde girl, I looked like Irish, I looked like a German girl, really. And I begged him, he said, don't shoot him, and he didn't shoot him. And we start walking again. So we see a light from far away. We say, there must be a town, there must be a house. If it's a light, must be something. So a lot of people, we're not the only ones. We walked through that light at night. We walked. It was a little town. It was the town, what was the name? I forgot already. And Drohachov. Anyway, and we came to that town, it was night. And we hit there a little train or what it was, a little thing. And me and my brother only wanted to go to the town, what's the name I just said before. Yeah, and we wanted to go. So anyway, wherever they're going to let us off, we'll be already in a town. We're not going to lay in the dark. So we went on that thing. We went on that train, not a little train, something there. But and we go, and people hanging on, and people go on the roof. There wasn't place. There wasn't where to go. Luckily, me and my brother had a little to stand inside, because we were wet, we were cold. And we came to Bialystok, and we hit Bialystok. We came to Bialystok. We met a friend, a Jewish friend of ours. We went together to school. He said, oh, you here? Come, I have where for you to stay. There is a family where I'm staying. They used to be butchers, and they closed the business, no business, so they let you stay there. Come. So he took us in there. We came in. There was a nice family. They had no beds where to sleep. They put us on the floor. We took off the wet clothes. At least we had a roof over the head. We came in the same there were Jewish butchers, Jewish people, and they had a Russian officer there. I stay with them already. Had a Russian soldier, and I was crying. I was sorry. I figured we're gonna die here. Why I left my parents? We loved our parents. Why we left them? And I'm crying. So the soldier said to the lady, she said, tell them it's going to be very bad in Poland. If she wants so badly, let her go back and bring her parents. That's all what I heard. In the morning, my clothes is dry. I dressed myself as a Polish girl, and I go back to border. I walk and walk. You know, during the war, a lot of people go to the border back and forth. They bring stuff. They make businesses. You know, they speculate like. So I followed them. And I walk, I figured I'm closer, more I walk away, and closer I'll be to Poland. And I walk with them nights. The fields were, it was loose, everything sink below. I'll walk.
What time of the year was that?
This was this was already in 40, I think.
In what part of the
Or
year?
what is it? It is September, October, November. This was already in 40, 1940.
What time of the year? Was it spring?
No, it was beginning of the winter.
Huh?
The beginning of the winter was already like autumn.
So it was cold.
Yeah, it was already. Yeah, oh yeah, and I was very cold already. A lot of people came out after me later. One of my cousins, he froze his finger, his hands. Oh, they came back terrible. Anyway, and I hit Warsaw. I hit Warsaw again. Oh, I'm home. And from Warsaw, I figured I'll get already something. So I start jumping on trains from one train to the other. They come, the Germans, they look for the Jews. And, and I always say, no, I'm not Jew, and they go with the lights and they look. And I came home. Hanukkah. It was the fourth candle. This I'll never forget. We always used to light the candle, the Hanukkah in the windows. Now my father said, you came home, going to light between the rooms the candle, and lighted the 4 candles for me. And I said to my mother, tell her the story, and I said, you better come, Mama. And so my father said, yes, it's a good idea, we're going. He made from a back a rucksack already made himself, and he's packing stuff, and he wants to go with me because it's getting bad. Every day the Germans get different laws. The voice, everything the voice laws they come out with. The Jew cannot hear, the Jew cannot do this, the Jew cannot that. Every day, so my father said, come. Last minute, my mother backs out. She wouldn't leave the house. This is her father built for her, in her bed, my house. She lived a little better than the others. She had a nice bedroom set, 3 pillows, they sleep. And she don't want to go. And she started crying, I should go because my brother's going to die over there by himself. He's going to die in the lice. She was only afraid of the lice. It was the first war, they had a lot of lice, the people. She said, they're going to eat him and he's going to die. You go. I said, no, if you're not going, I'm not going. Anyway, I had to leave. My mother made me leave. She said, I'll take you out to wherever you're going to get. And luckily, I had a tramway, a streetcar. So we're rushing because in the middle of our town was a little park, garden with big trees. And we go there, and my mother was wearing a shawl, that was the style in Europe, you wear a shawl instead of a jacket. And she covered her band. At that time, was wearing not the star already, the band that Jude was written. She comes up, a German, and he starts asking her where she has it, and he pushes her. And when he pushed her, I went over to him, and my mother held my hand. She figured if I'll start hitting with him, he'll kill me, and he'll kill her. So my mother started crying and screaming I shouldn't touch him, and he didn't do anything to her. And she pushed me right on the streetcar. And that's all what I saw my mother. She went back. She went back home. They stayed home not too long, I heard, because my sister-in-law's sister still remained in town. Then we found her in Russia. She was an absent. She came out later, so she told us the story. A German neighbor lived in our house. We had a little site. We had a house in the front. He lived in our house. He helped my father. He worked. He got paid good. My mother was for the kids, bought everything. He came in and he said to my father, she told me this, my sister-in-law's sister. He came in to my father and he said he should give him the money. So my father said, I have no money. So my mother said, but there's a few dollars, go give it to him. So he couldn't find it. So this guy, the German guy, went over and he started hitting my father. She told us he hit him so hard that the blood came out from tops, from bottom. He hit my father for no reason. And they still stayed in the house. A few weeks later, I don't know how long, because we weren't there, no, that's what we heard after the war. They made all the Jews bringing the keys, Jews from our town, and bringing in the middle town. We had a market over there, like every Friday and Thursday, people come selling there from the stuff. So they should bring the keys and come in the middle of the market over there. So the Jews had to go, bring the key, and left the house, and that was it. From there, they made protectorate, they called it. Jews from here, Jews go there, here not allowed Jews. Anyway, my parents they put him on a different town, from our town to walk, maybe if you want to walk there, maybe it took more than a day. It's a bigger town and closer to Warsaw. They only tried to push the Jews closer to Warsaw, where they know they built there the crematoriums there closer. And the Jews had to walk. Some people had horses and wagons, so they helped each other to put up a little on the wagon. How my father made that trip to that Glovno over there, the ghetto. They made a ghetto for them. Also, luckily, my parents stretched a little longer life, because my mother had jewelry, so in the washroom, she opened the floor and she put all the jewelry in there. When my mother was a businesswoman, when they take the Jews out, she took them out and she took with her the jewelry. So the Polacks know that my mother was not wealthy, rich women. So they came to the ghetto. Juszczak, a neighbor of ours, a Polak, came to the ghetto and he brought my parents bread or a little bit, and she gave him a piece of jewelry. That's how they lived through that Glovno ghetto. This was also finished. The Jews had to go to Warsaw. So, wasn't too far. From that ghetto, they threw him. Warsaw was a disaster. There was no place for the Jews to go in, no place, because they put a few ghettos, everything to Warsaw. My friend, we met him after the war. He said he saw my parents in Warsaw walking. My father had a broken arm. That's what he told us. And they looked terrible, the clothes, and people were laying in the gutters, laying dead. People walked on top of each other. It was a disaster. So from there, we found out they took him to Majdanek. Majdanek, this was a crematorium, just like Auschwitz. And they finished him up. That was finished with my parents. That's what we heard. And my granddaughter brought me some ashes from the oven. So, with me, when I came back to Bialystok, we met a doctor from our town, and he worked to cleaning, because a lot of people during the war, like I said, it's a lot of lice. So they put up like ovens in the street, and the people had to take off their clothes, cleaning, otherwise would be typhus, would be an epidemic. And he gave us that job. We worked with them. We cleaned them. We did everything because we didn't have a little. And we lived in a little room. We took it for ourselves already. And a lot of people, when they went to Bialystok, they were communists, Jewish communists. They run deep to Russia. They thought they come home to heaven. Meanwhile, when they went deep Russia, they saw what's going on. They came back. They wanted to go back to Poland. The Russian came out, and we have to register. If you want to take passports, Russian, or we're going to go back to Poland. Me and my brother said, no, we want to go back. We didn't know my parents are not alive. We didn't know the story what I'm telling, what I told you just. So I said, we want to go back to our parents. We didn't even know they have ghettos, nothing there. And we registered, we want to go back. People what registered, they took passports. They had to leave little towns far from the border. I had my older brother with his wife. They took a passport and they lived there. Then Russian had to go back. They didn't send us back to Russia. You know what they did? They came middle of the night and they said they take all the singles, me and my brother, and I have coming back a lot of Jewish boys. They all wanted to come to live, to family, to friends. So I put no beds. I put a big board down and everybody slept. They slept there. Anyhow.
You mean your older brother?
My older brother took, because I went twice. I took my older brother run away. He was working there not far. So with a friend he went. No, his wife with the little girl. But the second time I took her with me. On the border they caught her. The Germans took her in there and they didn't want to let her go. So the little girl started crying. She was such a beautiful kid. So they took yellow paint and all the baggage they ruined, and they said to them, go, and they let them go.
Let them
My
go where?
sister-in-law, on the Russian side.
Back to Russia.
Back on the Russian side, my sister-in-law with the little girl. And they found each other with my brother, and they took passports, and they went to that town where they sent them in. And they took me and my brother, where we lived in that little room. We rented a little, used to be a little store. We rented there. Came at night, early in the morning, the Russians came in. They said they take all the singles and they're going to build bridges over there. So they need them there to build bridges. So my brother said, well, this way it's good. You stay here, so maybe you're going to hear from our parents, and I'll go there, big building. I'll send you money. They're going to pay us something. The last minute, so I packed them a pair of pajamas, I had a little fruit, I packed them, and I figured in the other boys, what they live with us, and the Russian take a truck. The last minute, I said, I left my parents because of him. Now I'm going to let him go build bridges. I'm going to build bridges too. I take a coat on top of my pajamas, and I run after him. I jump on that truck where they all there, and they're taking us. Where they taking us? It was a jail. We didn't know. It was a jail. So my brother said, what did you do? What did you do? What did you do? They let you free. Now they're putting us to jail. You go home, go home. I wanted to go back. They didn't let me. They threw me in with him together in the jail. We stayed there a few days, and they wanted to separate us. Because we said brother and sister, we should have said we are a married couple. The couples, they let stay together. No, the singles, they separate. So anyhow, we stayed in that jail not too long. They put up big shalons, and they're shipping us. Where we go, we don't know. On the train, for every station, they throw up new people. They throw a couple from the beach. We got so friendly with them, a young couple in the bathing suit. No, he had a camera with him, and we got friendly with them. And they took us to, it was a town, Arkhangelsk, a Russian town already, before Siberia. That was the border, like, to go to Siberia. And there was also a big lakes, and they with little barges, they made of barges. And we stayed in that town because there was a lot of people, so they go back and forth, get back and forth. So we stayed there a few days, also laying outside day and night. And they shipped us to Siberia. We drove.
My name is Marvin Greenberg. I'm the interviewer. The survivor is Helen Lefkowitz, and this is take number 2.
Well, when we came to Bialystok, and when they start taking people into jail, when I was in jail, and then in jail, a lot of people didn't want to survive. The better class people, like a teacher, a doctor. One guy cut his wrist. You could see it. This guy took something. Every minute you hear somebody else killed himself, because we didn't know what's going on. Laying in a cellar in a jail for a few days, no food, no nothing. All right. Then when the Russians said this was before the Russian, but that's why they took us to jail also, because we didn't want to take the Russian. They didn't give a passport. They didn't let us go. They didn't open the border and let us go back to Poland. They just said, if you want to go to Poland, they just said this, or they didn't do it. See? So anyway, from there, like to put on the Shalom, the big kettle wagons. One on the top, they made shelves. One on top. My lock was laying there, a Hasidic family. He was a shoichet. You know, a shoichet in with the family. The lice were that big, falling right on top of us. Because I was afraid of them, they just got me. It was a terrible thing. They gave us, in every station, if they stopped, we have to go underneath. Here, a lot of people, 1 million people, you sit down underneath. Then they give us only soup from fish bones. Every bone, if it's not cooked good, it sticks in your throat. That's what they were feeding us. In no water. Seldom when they let us go. It was murder. Anyway, we came to a town. They let us off, and they shipped us. We came on the Siberian side. They shipped us with little, I told you, on the water. And we came on the Siberian side. And people from Siberia, what they had, factories there. What kind of factories? Making bricks, chopping woods. That kind of factories they had. Shipping with the rake, with the oceans, ocean with they shipping wood with the lakes. This is that's what they do underneath the ice. Ice is already on the top, and they shipping the wood goes from one town to the other, and then they take us like slaves, and we have to pull it out. That's what made me get married. Later I come to it. So anyway, we were lucky. Came a guy, and he took us in a factory where they make bricks. In the bricks you can work only in the summer. In the summer, the oven stay there, and you make a big. They have big sarayas, big shops like shop. And they putting shelves, and they're putting up the bricks, taking out from the machine. The machine throws them out, and I was working in that. That was awesome murder. And we had the guy that took care of us was a Polish, which they send him. This place was when the Russian didn't like somebody, or he did somebody. They think they send them there for shipped. It was like a camps there. In the winter, we had to go to the woods, working and cut the biggest wood. Since the world is world, the trees stay there. Until you go to a big tree, you have to chop around 1 million small ones. And so with the saw, hand, one on this side, one on this side, and was sawing. And sometimes the tree, you couldn't push it down, it was so big. And take the little piece of bread, what they give you for the day with you. It was frozen in a rock. So we burn the branches from the tree, and we hold on a stick that piece of bread, and we trying to warm it up. We should be able to eat it. And the mouth was black from it because the piece of bread got verkopft, with the steam. And I worked with them. Then that couple, what they throw them, that we became so friendly. We lived in this one room, 3 couples. They gave us a house with three couples in one room. The houses were built, one tree on top of the other. In the middle, they put in something. And that's how it was, the houses built. And the wife was very delicate, just got married. They looked for another job. They took her in working in a with the children in the children's office, the nursery. And he worked with me. We're still friends. He's in Paris. We're still very friendly. I went to visit them. They came here. And very nice. We became so much. We slept together, the four of us, he and his wife and me and my brother. They gave us little single iron bed, so we pushed them together, and we had a blanket. Anyhow, we survived. At night, when we came home from the woods, from the snow, working all day, the gloves were wet, you were wet, so you start drying it, making fire also with the wood, pushing in fire, keep on drying all the clothes. You should be able to go in the morning and put it on again and go again out. Dark, the snow made it light. You know, the snow lights it up. And we lived there, and that's, of course, then locally I had already, no, I didn't have the baby yet, no. And locally, they took me away. Also, they gave me another job from there, and they make me put in a machine and cut from the big trees, how you call it, they make us cut from the tree. You cut the bark, yeah. They made us this. So I also was there, pushing those trees to the machine, pushing it. It was not a good job either. Anyway, they changed me. I complained, and they changed me to go and work inside. They start making. That time came the war with Holland, I think, with Finland. So they start making skis for the Finlanders, and they gave me this job. It was also not easy job. The wood you put in hot boiling water, you should be able to bend it to make it. And then my husband worked there. Eddie worked there. He also came. He came from his camp there. He was even worse than we are. He came. They freed him, and he came and started working there by the kettles, by the ovens. And he saw me working so hard, schlepping, carrying there. My brother worked already in a shop. My brother was a specialist. He used to make, for the army, he used to make the lighters. Mm-hmm. And he got a little piece of bread, bread from potatoes, frozen potatoes with bread. And we'd start talking. He's from where you are, with my husband. I didn't know he's Jewish. He didn't look Jewish. He killed once a rat or whatever he killed, and he made himself a hat. A rabbit, I think he killed. He made himself a hat. He didn't look Jewish. Vanka, they called him Vanya. Vanya is a Russian name. And we were talking from Lodz, and I say from Lodz, and I'm telling about my parents, and I'm telling I had a boyfriend, and he's telling me he had a girlfriend. And we became friendly. He helped me. He's a good nature, he is. He helped me all the time. Then came one of the guys, they had a shoe factory. And he said, in the summer, they grows the mushrooms in the woods. There are a lot of the woods, the mushrooms grow that big. As soon as this get light, it became bugs right away, boggy. You have to go at night if you want. So I said, oh yeah, I know mushrooms. I can recognize which one is which one, but... So they sent me, I took a bunch of girls, and I was the brigadier already, and I took them and we went to the woods. People got lost. They came home 3 days later. Anyway, I brought home, and this guy, he didn't know what to do for me. He made me a pair of boots. He gave it to me, a pair of boots. You have to crook it. Everything has to be, you want to survive, fight. Fight for survival. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to live over there. You have to sneak, you have to steal, you have to lie, and that's how you can survive. Because you can be too honest, that's their life there. By Stalin, now I don't know, I wouldn't blame them now. Anyhow, then this was a good times already for us. I took another apartment, nice and clean by a Russian woman in the house. I had already my bed, my brother had his bed. It was nice, we were happy. And Eddie delivered wood. The wood he delivered for me to cook, to make the ovens. And then all of a sudden they came out. They want to send me to that, pull out those the wood from the river. They call it spluff. They send me on spluff to pull down. I said, if I'll go there, I'll never be able to see my parents anymore. I'm still, my survival is just because of the fight to see back my parents. That's what kept me alive. So I said, if I'll go to that spluff, I'll never see my brother and I never see my parents anymore. And so then I found out that they're sending just singles. So I said to Eddie, you know what, Eddie, you have a girlfriend, I have a boyfriend. Let's make papers, marriage papers, that we are married. And when we'll come back to our parents, to you see your girlfriend, I go to my girlfriend. You know what I mean? I tell him. He said, that's a good idea. And he lived where the Voikes lived there in the общежитие, they call it. There was schmutzig, he had nothing, a little fike with holes in the, terrible. So I said, see, it's a nice thing. I have a bench. You can sleep here on the bench. I had a bench too, they are long bench. It's not mine, it was the woman's. And we go there to get papers. They need $3. Where you get the $3? We haven't got the three ruble. Where do you get the 3 ruble? So my brother had a friend, a Russian woman. The woman there was so anxious to meet men because all the men was in the army. You couldn't see one man in the street. They were all gone. They were all in the war. And my brother was a beautiful man, so she always gives him a little extra soup. And she always gave me, so she said to her, Natasha, my parents, they need she gave me the $3. Next day we went again, and we took out papers. We took out papers, so you know nature. He sleeps there, I sleep there, I have already my bed, and he has his bench. So I said, you know, if you want to get married, we can get married. I mean, we talked about it. So my brother is good in Hebrew too. We went to Mizrahi, you know. And I didn't want to live like this because I figured if I'll come home, my mother wouldn't have nachas from me, everything I did from my parents. So my brother said to me, and that couple had a ring because they just got married. So she said, Edda was her name, and his was Stashik. So Edda said, yeah, here is the ring. And my brother, and there was a Jew living not far, one Jew, and I don't know how I get the 2 eggs. I think that Natasha brought me. I made a little cake, and we got married. My brother made a ketubah, I wrote, and I made a chuppah. I made from a sheet, you know, with sticks, and I made a chuppah. And we got married. We really got married. Okay, we got married. He lives already in my house. He brings already wood. He brings already the soup what he gets. So we mixing in. It was a little easier, the life, a little bit easier already. And clean. I always look for clean. And then I don't know. Maybe not a year after we got married, maybe months, I felt I'm pregnant. There's no doctor. You don't go there, check up or whatever. There was nothing, nobody. Once I had affection, the tooth, I had to put a string and go on the chair. My husband, my brother tied it on and put my head back to pull out the tooth. There wasn't, we were in a slavery camp, you know what I mean? There was no, anyhow. And my brother heard that I'm pregnant. He said, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do? I don't know. I said, let it go. And after that, she was born the 1st of May. They took me to the hospital. I felt no good. And the 1st of May, they give you always a little bit better. There's a big holiday over there. And they gave me cabbage in the hospital. The 1st of May, I was lucky. I went in and they gave me white little piece of rolls. I was a machaya. I had to eat. And the baby didn't come the 1st. All night long, I was, you know, screaming. Nobody's there. Nobody's to help you. Anyhow, next day, the 2nd, 5 o'clock at night, the baby came. And she was a beauty. From what? I don't know. She was such a beautiful kid. The woman that took the baby, she held her around, and she in Russia, she said she looks just Zhupa. The behind looks just like the father. She said she did look like just. You see her. She is coming in. She's such a good girl and such a beautiful girl and good girl. And see. So we stay in the hospital. I didn't want to go home. I figured as long as they hold me here, at least I get the food. And time finished, you have to go home with no clothes, nothing. So before I did, I met a Russian woman, an old lady. She gave me a pillow. I said to my husband, bring me that pillow. We're going to take that baby home. And we pushed the baby in the pillow and we walked home. We walked home because there was no community. It was quite a walk. It was in May, it still snowed. The snow is melting. In the water, the feet wet. No, the baby was dry, laying in a pillow. I came home. We don't live anymore over there. We had to move there. The Russians throw us out too. We lived in a little cellar room with one little. I had an iron little bed, and my brother had his iron little bed. And at night, when I brought the baby, I didn't know where to put her. In the middle, I was afraid. We young people. He's young. He's gonna kill her. By the wall, she's gonna choke. So I put her in the side of the bed on the out. Middle of the night, she fell off. My brother heard it, that she fell off the bed. She gave a quit like a little pig. And nothing happened. She was okay. It was okay. Then later, I don't know, also some good people, they gave me a little crib for her. Yeah. And we didn't stay there too long. We didn't stay there too long because they also said I should get out. So we moved in another place. Just moving, and the woman that my brother knew, she was an NKVD, and we got a lot of favors from her. Now she didn't know that we know because she wouldn't tell us. And the NKVD is like here in the police, the sergeants from the police, NKVD, they get more food, they get wages, and she was the woman was one of them, and she helped us a lot.
Undercover?
Huh?
What kind of woman was she?
NKVD, they called that over there.
What does that mean?
National Commission. I don't know how to tell it.
Member of the party?
Yeah, the member of the party. Yeah, and a member of the party she was. So she got a little, and she helped us a lot. She helped us with food, and then that was tough. We lived over there a long time in that little cellar. And we started doing stockings. We started working, and I started helping. And always you have to go out on the market, change this, buy this. And I caught a guy. He worked in a hospital, and he was stealing. I don't know from where he got. He was wearing white, not gloves, no cuffs, like with a rubber here and a rubber here, and inside was wheat. And he sell it to me. I changed it with him. I had some schnapps. I had some whiskey. And for whiskey, they went crazy. I had some whiskey because that Anita, that noise, she tried to. So I changed with him. And this saved our life too. Only miracles. And we melted. We went to, we grounded the wheat. And we had flour. And I baked bread or cookies, whatever I made from it. And this helped us too, helped us a lot. So, and then we heard there was amnestia. Amnestia, the Polish government wants to send back the Ukrainians, and the Polish government wants to take us back. We were Polish citizens. We didn't give up our citizenship. So we heard this.
Was the war over then? Or?
The war was already over, not full yet. They cleaned already Russia, they cleaned already Ukraine. It was clean, but 3 months, we came to Ukraine 3 months after the Germans went out. They burned everything when they left. They burned, you wouldn't believe it, what they did. Everything, the fields, the wheat, everything was burned. Now it started growing out by themselves. So we picked it up, And we grounded, and we start living. And the guy what took us to that kolkhoz, to that place, I told you about him, but he took us there, and this was already Ukraine after we. And going from Siberia to Ukraine, my baby was, she wasn't a year old yet. She was maybe 7, 8 months, and she got so sick on me. She got a diarrhea so badly, and there no doctor, and no nothing. I nursed her a long time, because if I wouldn't have milk, she wouldn't be alive. There was no baby food. No, God was good to me. I just had milk. And then, didn't help nothing. I run from one wagon to the other in the salon, and I asked, is there a doctor? Is there a noise? I found a noise. A Polish guy took with her a Russian noise. He married her, and he took her, and she had some, not before the penicillin, how you call that medicine?
Sulfur? Sulfur?
Yeah, sulfur. She had a little sulfur, and that helps. Picked up my baby. And my husband and my brother decided when the Shalom passed by Moscow, they want to see Moscow. So they left me with the baby and the Shalom, and they went to see Moscow. And on the way back, they were so lucky they couldn't even find us at the Shalom anymore, because we kept on going. We stopped and kept on going. So anyway, they came back, black. They were sleeping by the motor. They're hiding. Lucky they didn't caught him. They would say they're spies. You know, they are spying. So anyway, they both came back. And I figured I'm lost. I lost both of them. And here with the sick baby. It's all breaking, noise breaking. It's all just, I don't know how I lived through this, how I could, anyhow. We came back. The Shalom went and went and went. We came back to Poland. To make it the story short. In that sovkhoz, we had a better time too, in that sovkhoz that I told you with Wojtwicki, because the guy was Jewish, and we didn't know he was Jewish. He was also over there. He was Jewish, so he saw that we are Jewish people too. So his wife went to Romania with the water, with the ocean, with the lake. She went to Romania, she brought a cow, she brought a pig, you see. So then from one cow was another cow. We stayed in the sovkhoz maybe almost a year. He gave us a cow with another couple, and we milked it 3 times a day. We had milk, and from the milk I make sour milk, I make butter, I knocked in the bottle, you know, and I made in butter. In noodles, they send us to a factory where they make the noodles. So we had, and there was the Dnieper. I don't know, this is also, yeah, a Reka. The Dnieper was all the way down, and we lived all the way up higher. And high the uppercuts was, Eddie went in once and eat grapes. It was Ukraine already. In the fruits there, in the vegetables, nobody can believe it. They doubled the size in the sweet, in the best. Watermelons, you never eat in your life. That woman, the sovkhoznik, the nachelnik's wife, she was very handy. She pickled them. She took in the baby. She gave the baby a little egg all the time. She brought us in. We went catch the fish, such a big fish, and I have to eat it the first day because there was no fridge there. We already had not bad over there. No, it came time.
What was the name of that town again?
Kherson.
Okay, and what was the sovkhoz?
Sovkhoz. The sovkhoz was the place where there's the sovkhoz. It's the factory, that place. The name is sovkhoz. There is a kolkhoz and a sovkhoz in Russia. Sovkhoz is where it's people work and you get paid, and a kolkhoz where the people are together, like a communist together. It's kolkhoz. Whatever it's left, they share it. And a sovkhoz is for themselves. They have a nachelnik, they have a boss, and he gives the wages. So that wasn't too bad already. You know, I had she brought a little pig, so she let him out, and I wanted to let the baby a little air. Meanwhile, I had the 2 men. I wanted to make a little soup for them or cook the noodles. So I cook, and I look in the window, so the little pig's on top of my little baby. And once she fell off the window. He never had a toy. She never had a toy. Somebody gave me later a doll without the legs. She has pictures of it. She showed it to you. A doll without a legs. And that kid hold that doll like somebody would hold, I don't know, God. That's how it was by her. The only toy. No, nothing. No crib, no nothing. Anyway, when we came back to Poland with the Shalom from Kherson, it was a bad trip, very bad trip. And my husband found out his two brothers are alive. He had left me on the train with the baby and he runs to look for the brothers. They had 7 kids. And then he heard 2 brothers are alive. He got crazy. He runs, going to look for his brothers. Here, people came. Some relative was there already who remained. People get off the train. Here I'm laying with my baby in the train and nobody comes for me. So I registered myself to go in Lodz. They put up special houses. The Jewish government in Lodz, they got right away the Hayas together, and they put up houses for us. Whoever comes in hasn't got where to go in. They call it Dom Representanta. That's what they call it. And so I registered and I said, I'll go in there. I'll go in there and I put my name. Maybe somebody will find me. Maybe somebody will come. And don't you think came a guy which he knew me from our town. He delivered some stuff for my mother's for the store. He took us into his house. He had already his brother there and a wife. He took me out from there. Meanwhile, my husband came back, and he took me right over there in a normal life. He gave me a room with a little bed, and it's fine. Middle of the night, he found some other relatives. They used to come in, sleeping here, sleeping in. My baby was teething. She didn't sleep nights. And here is already the winter. Here I'm laying in a cold room. There's no steam, nothing. So I took the baby in the kitchen. I walked back and forth all night long, because she was teething. She was in no food. No, the lady, this was a sister-in-law. He lived with 2 brothers and a sister. Whatever she cooked, she gave me a little bit for the baby. And my brother went home to Alexander, to our town. He went home. I couldn't go home. I said, if I'll go home there, because we found out already what happened. We found out. So I said, if I'll go home there, my father put every little stick, every little tree in. And if I'll see, I'll drop that. And that's, anyway, I had no choice later, and I had to go home. My brother opened a little factory. My mother also had a stocking factory on top of the store. She had a factory too. So somebody gave us some machines for no money yet, that lady. And my brother started a little factory and said, come home, because you know how to work with the tool, because I grew up there too in it. So I came home, and I saw the house, and I went back, and I saw we had not a lake, we had the water we used to pull out with a pail. We pull out from the well, how called this?
Well.
A valve we had, a well we had in the house. I looked in, my father built all this, my father made all this. I looked in, I said, I would jump in there. And I looked the baby. I said, who's going to take care of my baby? And she was so beautiful. I said, if I wouldn't have the baby, I would finish my life, 100%. I wouldn't be sorry, I would have finished. Because there was no life for us. The baby. So I took the baby down, I started bathing her already. My husband went and bought a chicken, and he was the shochet. He chopped the head, I make soup. We started living already a little, and not in our house. I couldn't live in our house. It was old demolish, was holes in the wall. I lived, this was finished. We lived, they gave us, also a Jewish family used to live there. They gave us this house. Then my older brother came. Was very sick. My older brother came. I didn't recognize him. He was in Russia. He worked in gold. He got up gold from the thing. Here, my brother died already in Israel. 68 years old. He died in Israel. He came home. I didn't recognize him. We put him right away. A neighbor brought a bed for him. A Jewish fella brought a bed right away, and I tried whatever I had. I pushed in him, and we built him up a little bit. And then he found out that his wife is in Italy with the little girl. So he rushed to Italy. So we made a little bit money. We gave it to him. He walked to Italy from Poland. He said he walked to through the woods, into the mountains, and he came to Italy. And when he came, she was already not in Israel yet. Before Israel, they didn't let them in, the Arabs.
Cyprus?
Yeah, they were, she was there. So he went over there, she went already to Israel. He chased her, and he came to Israel, so they got together. And then he lived a few years in Israel, and then he died. She died now too. No, their daughter is alive, my niece. They came here with her husband. She has 2 sons, the only. And I have cousins from my mother's brothers. They used to live there. The kids, they're alive. One cousin came here last. She stayed with us a week from Israel. I had almost all my family. They were mostly Zionists, so they went to Israel before the war. My mother's 2 brothers. My father wanted to go. No, my grandpa didn't. She used to like her father, and he went to Israel with his wife. And he wrote that she shouldn't come because the children going to get spoiled. He didn't like the life in Israel. The Chalutzim, they dance. He said they should, and that's.
The interviewer is Marvin Greenberg. The survivor is Helen Lefkowitz. And this is tape number 3.
Well, when we came into Poland, and we couldn't go in our house, so we went to the government, not government, to the state house, and we said we wanted an apartment. So they gave us a room, an apartment. There was also a Jewish house, used to be. We lived there. And I told you my brother came, my older brother came, he found us on the first floor. Another couple lived. He brought a Russian wife, a Jew from our town, a man. And we opened a little factory, stocking factory. We made a little money, And then we decided, we heard that they made it the camps in Germany, and there's a way to go. My husband find already out his brothers. So we decided we're going to go. So we went very, very unfortunately, very, very bad trip we had. We had to go as German Jews, and we had to go on one train, then we had to go on wagons covered, like the army wagons covered at night, hold the mouth from the kid shouldn't cry. We had a very bad experience to go to Backnang. Anyway, we came to Backnang, was a DP camp, and they gave me a room with the baby, and they sent my husband with the boys in another room, which I didn't like it. And eventually, they put us together, and at least they gave us a little food, and he started right away working in the police, in the kitchen, my husband right away working. And we lived in Backnang. And then they came to register whoever wants to go to Israel, whoever wants to go to Palestine, or they want to go to America, wherever they want to go. My husband find out his brothers already, they were in Backnang. When he came to Backnang, they left, the brothers. So they were already in America. So he wanted to go to America, so he registered. So we stayed there 3 years with the baby in Backnang. We were no luck. Some people went right away. We had no luck. We had to stay there 3 years till they came, the affidavits to us. I had a cousin in New York. He had a big factory, so he had to guarantee for us. He had to sign up. And we also had an uncle. I had my mother's brother in the Bronx. They live in New York. He couldn't sign because he had no business. He worked. The other cousin signed. He had a factory, clothing factory. So they sent us. The boat, what we came from Backnang to America was an army boat, hanging beds. The beds were hanging and was speaking. Right away, the first night, I fell off. And the little one, the baby next to me, started crying. She spoke Polish that time. And she said to me, Mamushu nie umieraj, Mama, don't die. So the other women, what they didn't get sick, they came over, and I was laying on the floor. I fainted, fell off from the bed. And my husband was sick in another place. I didn't even see him all the time. I didn't see him. He started working in the police on the boat. No, he got sick. So he was laying there on the bottom someplace. I didn't know if he's alive. I was just wanted to save the baby. I run with the baby, little tiny steps, go in the kitchen. You couldn't eat anything because he was seasick. So I grabbed the orange, and I have a little orange squeezer in my pocket. I had a big sweater with big pocket. So take that orange squeezer, give my baby a few drops of orange juice. I gave it to her, my daughter, for souvenir. I had that little orange squeeze. I gave it to her. I said, this I survived you with that little squeezer. So anyway, I go on the roof. I wanted to air, so the water drop comes in and they chase us out. Anyway, after 11 days, we came to America. We came to America. We coming off the boat. My aunt was there, and I think his brothers were there. I don't remember exactly. Anyway, the brothers took us in the Bronx. We went in there. Gave us a little couch there, and we stayed with them. It was no good. It was no good. And my husband couldn't get a job. He could do everything. He couldn't get a job. That time was bad. And we lived over there. Then we found a furniture apartment. So we moved into furniture. See, a lot of people went to the Hayas, and they got money. They got for the rent, they got for the food. Especially us, we could have gotten it for the baby. He didn't want to go. And I couldn't go no place. I had to hold all the time my baby. I couldn't move no place. The baby was for me more important than the whole world. So he didn't want to go. He said, I'm not going to take from nobody anything. I said, you're not taking anything. Everybody's get it. He didn't want it. Anyway, we lived in the furniture apartment. One woman has it in the Bronx. It was no good. She didn't like the baby. She didn't like us because we only eat lokshen and milk, noodles and milk. She said, the green, she called us. They only eat. I said, we don't have money for meat. We don't have anything. And then a woman across the street took me to her shop as a finisher. I started sewing buttons. And I left the baby with that woman that I lived in. And so I came back. She didn't feed even the baby the little noodles with the milk. She said, she don't want it. I said, she's not used to food. Try to give her a little spoon. The kid never ate in her life. She's not used to food. And she was 4 years old. Anyhow, I had to stop working. I came home from work, the kid was crying. She said, all the mommies sitting here and eating ice cream, and you, mommy, you're leaving me. She said, she was so smart. She's smart. You see her, she's so dull. So she said, you leaving me? I said, I'm going to lose the baby. I schlepped her from Siberia. I'm going to lose her here in America. I quit it. I didn't. The union came. They want to take me right away. I was very handy with sewing. I made buttonholes in sweaters. I was good. The union gave me right away. They gave me those years, I think, $36 or $46, something like this. Was a lot of money. It would have been good if I could have worked. And I went just with the boss. With the boss cost me 10 cents or 15 cents. It would have been nice. I had to stop because of the baby. And my husband was from one job, I'm sure he told you, from one job to the other. They only took him for the green and they used him. I said, pay, they bring him schmattes. He brings me a suit, he brings me schmattes, and then he wants a set of wages. I need the money, I need to buy something to eat. So he brings me, so we send him back to him. And he was a landsman, he was from Alexander, he was telling me, this guy. They weren't good to us, the American people, be honest with you. When we came, it's not like the Russian come now. The Russian come now, they go to the JCC, they get money, they get apartments. We didn't get nothing. Like people like him, like us, we didn't get nothing. I didn't get from them a penny, not for me, not for my baby, for nothing. Anyway, we lived through. See, I'm a millionaire now. I got a house, I got kids, I got grandchildren. What else you want? Health. Now we need health. That's what we need. I don't want anything. When at nights would be better than nights. The nights should be a little bit better. The nights are killing you. because it's the older you get, the more time you have to think about it. See, when you were young, I was busy with the kids, taking them to school, bringing them back to school, helping them, making them. Now, if you lay the night, it's just murder. You can, it comes to you. You look. My mother was 53 years old. Beautiful woman. I'll show you the pictures. You saw beautiful people, good people. For what? For what? Where was the world? I'm just asking. Where was the world? And don't you think that they're bringing now? I have right here a Nazi. He passes by with his car and he knows I'm Jewish. He lets his motor go like for me like that. Someday I'm going to ask him why you hate me. If he wouldn't go so fast the car, I would stop him and ask him, why did you hate me? What did I do to you? We have him here. We have a big organization. We have big underground. That's what happened in Poland. There was a big underground, and the Jews didn't believe it. The Jews didn't believe it. Because we could see it. What is that German sitting by us in the store for weeks and weeks and days? He's sitting there. Because he planned already. He had it. They knew what's going to be. They knew before what's going to be. And I'm afraid. I'm just afraid it's for our children. It shouldn't be a future for them.
You had another daughter when you came here?
Yeah, because of my aunt. I had my mother's brother was here. He's died now. She died too, my aunt. She was a mother to me. They weren't rich people. No, he gave me every week $10. He came every Saturday. He gave me $10 to buy for the baby something. They were so good to me. My mother took the baby and me to the store. She bought a little outfit. She bought me towels. She was so good, my aunt, and she had one daughter. And she said, it's no good, one child. She took me to her doctor and examined me, and he said, why not? I was in the early 30s. I wasn't so old. He said, why not? So I had a miscarriage. So after that, I said, forget it. So my aunt said, I'll take you back to the doctor. She took me back to the same doctor. Everything she paid, everything. She took me back. The doctor said, she's fine. A couple of months, she said, try again. And then Sherry came. I had a bad pregnancy. It wasn't too bad. It was also, in the 6 months, they wanted to take it from me. I started bleeding. In the angel, God sent me. I was on the table to take the baby. In those years, 6 months, the baby wouldn't live. See, now even a month, 2.5 months, they live. In those years, he said to me, you'll be all right. No, the baby, you have to give up. And I'm laying on the table. Walks in a doctor, and he said, God sent it in, like, I don't know who, an angel, whatever. And he said, they hold it. They put me back in the room, and I was laying there a little while, and then sent me home. They gave me a telephone, because those years not everybody had telephones. I lived on the 3rd floor. I had already my little apartment, 1 bedroom, nice, small, light, because the Italian, the super in that building, liked me so much that he tried. Those years you couldn't get an apartment. And he tries for me. A young couple moved out, and he got the rooms for me. No, we needed $300, and we didn't have the $300. So I said to my aunt right away, brought how much, 150, how much she gave, how much she had. She was also poor. I had a rich family, which they didn't bother with us. They lived in Chipchet Bay. They didn't bother with us because we are greener. They were better class people. And the brothers, I said, listen, I gave my money to put for your father a stone. Let him give me now, I should have a little room and live with the kid. So the brothers chipped in the other few dollars in the super, and I got the key from the apartment, and oh, it was dirty. He helped me clean. He had a daughter, that old Italian man. The daughter sent up, she helped me painting, she helped me clean up cockroaches like this. And I got already my room, and the aunt's a friend just moved to Paris, so she gave me her bedroom set. Everything came just like it would be for me, and I got already an old bedroom set. We were very happy with it. I had a bed to sleep. And little by little, we lived in that apartment for a nice few years. We lived there. And then later on, when in the bakery, he didn't bring first money. No, when he started bringing already money, I started saving. I said, I could live on Lokshmit milk again. For you, I'll make a little piece of meat. I don't need it. So I said, in a few years, maybe 6, 7, I saved up $5,000. In the $5,000, why I was so anxious was when my daughter had to go to high school. And when she had to go to high school, it was there already over a bridge in a bed section. And she was so afraid of them. I don't know, I never told her anything. No, she was afraid. She never seen a colored man, so she something was for her it was different. She was afraid. So I didn't want it, so we bought a little house not far from the high school. She should have walking distance. That was for me everything in this world, that my daughter has to just walking to the high school, Avenda Childs in the Bronx. And she was a good student too, right away, both my girls, both. The brains is good by them. The little one is a lawyer. She could have been a lawyer too, no, we didn't have the money those years. So anyhow, and then we had already our little house. And this little house was also, we bought it, the lady, Dafke, she was a nice lady. She lived with the daughter, and she got blind, and she made the house very dirty. It was a new house, and it was so dirty, filthy, because she didn't see. And the daughter was a doctor. She wasn't home much. So she gave it to us. I gave her the $5,000, and she gave us the mortgage on the house. The house was $20,000 or $21,000, something like this. So it was $16,000 mortgage just. In the garage, I right away rented, so I got already. And downstairs was a little apartment. So I already, it didn't cost us too much rent. So I could start eating meat too already. We could start eating. So it was, we went up and up and up. And then when the brother lived already here, he said, come over for vacation, our 25th wedding anniversary. So we came down, and I loved the ocean. I loved it, and I never liked the Bronx. Dirty, so dirty, the Bronx. I never liked it. So I said, maybe if my daughter was married already. She married in college right away. She got married, this one. He grabbed her right away. He saw what he got, my son-in-law. So I went back in June, when the vacation in New York. She was still in high school, my younger daughter. So I said, I like it there. Maybe you come. Maybe you're going to like it too.
In Florida. In
Florida, yes. I said, it's very nice. And I called Daddy, and Daddy didn't come home already. He stayed with his brother. I said, Daddy likes it too, and the ocean is so nice. Come for vacation. You have no school now. Let's go. We go both back. So we went back, and we lived on the ocean, also closer. We rented. And she started going at night. When she cried, I left. I took away her from the friends and the teachers, and she was a good student there already. She was the president of the class. And I said, look, if you wouldn't like it, I wouldn't do it. You have to if you make up your mind, we'll do it. I gave her the privilege. And then during the summer, she met other people. His brother had a daughter her age, so they got along. And she said, okay. So I said, let me go see the school. Where is the school? Let's go. I went over to Avenda Childs. Now it's the Sunkers, right, Riviera here. That time was nice. I went over, and I met the woman, the principal, and she is a Jewish woman. Oh, I'm home. And I said to her, I want to bring here my daughter. And she said, wait, her record will come, and I'll tell you. A few weeks later, she called me. She said, why are you afraid to bring your daughter? She's S. She's ace, but you worry about it. And she came here, and she also became right away from the Kietz and this and that. And she met and took her to the temple right away, because there was no Jews. There was no sugar center, there was no high rises, there was nothing. Little houses here, all lots in woods. So then we rented on the island, all the time rented on the island, till we sold our little house there, and then we bought this one, and we stay in this 28 years. No, it wasn't like that. We fixed up a lot.
Before we go on to the pictures, would you like to say anything about the displaced persons camp? Anything more? Anything?
In the camp, well, we got the food over there. They got clothes. The organization came, and they taught us, what's the name of that, or not the Hayas, the other one, what this organization name? They came in they make a little factory and they teach us sewing. Eddie goes speaking there. I forgot the name of the organization.
Ort?
Ort. The Ort came. And the Ort did a lot for us. They put up machines, they teach the people right away sewing, and they helped a lot. And we got food, and we had an office, and we got our payoks, you know. And if we needed a doctor, we went to town, was not far, Stuttgart. Stuttgart there was not far. Mercedes they make there. The Mercedes is making in Stuttgart. So we went, my daughter was sick in Wagner. She's sick. She, from all this traveling, she had infection in her nose. I could never bathe her. There was no water to bathe. So she got infection, so he cleaned it. He said a little longer I would wait, it would have gone to the brain. Now I said, go tell him. I was a Nazi, a German. I had no choice. I had to go to him. And then she was so skinny, so they took X-ray. They said they have a Erbsen, that she has a spot on her lungs. So I thought she has already the TB. I'm telling you, and she couldn't eat. She wasn't used to the food. So I was running around with a little egg, pushing in and pushing and trying, and then she was skinny. You'll see pictures. She'll show you. And I saved her. I got her, and a beauty, and nachas from her. She's so bright. She's all over. She works with all the organizations. You'll see, she's very good. The parents, everything. Tomorrow they're taking us out. It's my birthday. And the little one too. The little one, and 4 grandchildren I got. So what I'm worried. I'm just going to tell the doctor I need a little. I'm afraid now. I would like a little sleeping pill. I'm afraid to start up with the pills. Did I finish? Should I show you the pictures?
Yes.
I can't get up because I have this.
No, you stay. We'll stop and show the pictures.
Yeah, well, that's in Bachnan. It was a nice life. He was sitting underneath the apple trees. There were apples there growing all where we was. Hitler used to have the youth, the school there he trained them there. And then when they were out, we took the whole buildings. It was a nice buildings. She must have pictures too from it. And across the street was the office, and the union, they used to give us food. The UNRWA was running it.
Thank you.
Yeah. You want a Rosie? Well, this is my husband, Ed Lefkowitz. He told his story already. And this is my Rose, Rosenkrantz. She was born in Siberia, which a miracle child. We are very proud of her. And I'm Helen Lefkowitz, well. And now I'm going to show the pictures.
Okay. Would you like to say something, Rose?
Say something. You can say it.
She can hear you too.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to say?
Anything in particular you'd like me to say?
Anything you would like at this moment in time.
I'm proud of my parents. I know they had a very difficult life. I'm proud that they've retained their Judaism despite times when I'm sure their belief in God and in mankind should have stopped. And they passed that tradition on to their children, mine and my sisters, and I in turn passed that on to my children. And I'm sure that that's very important to them, and it's due to them that we have these very strong, committed feelings to our families and to Jews around the world.
Thank you.
That's my Zayde. That's my Zayde.
And when was that taken about?
This was in Israel already.
Was it in Israel, taken in Israel? Do you know when it was taken?
What's his name?
Mordechai Greiman.
This picture, when was it taken, do you think?
This
Yes.
in Alexandrov, before they went to Israel. This was a goodbye picture. In the 30s must have been. My Zayde and Bobe. And this is my sister's little boy, and this is my brother's little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is also
No,
my,
we don't have that yet.
my
That,
Bobe.
that picture's not in there. Anybody else you want to mention in that picture? The top one?
I have to look closer. This is my mother's brother, and this is the wife, and this is my father and my mother, and this is my Zayde's sister.
Okay. Go ahead, Helen.
Well, this is my Bobe Ratze and my Zayde in his youngest son,
Yossel?
Yossel.
And he went to...
And went before the war to Israel with his wife and two sons. One son in Israel died, and the other one, he's dead already too. No, the other one is a dentist in Israel with two kids.
And the other picture?
And the other picture over there is also my Boba and Zaide.
No, over here, right here.
Oh, this me, on here on my right is my brother is standing. This is Yaakov. He's dead now. He died in Israel too. And my sister went to Auschwitz with the sick people. She worked in the hospital in Lodz ghetto. She worked till the last minute, and then they took her with the sick people, and they went to Auschwitz. In the same night she was burned. My cousin told me this. And there, I'm sitting, is my brother, Shabtai, which just died 2 years ago here. And that's me on top standing with the little ribbon on the hair. That's me.
Oh,
That's
you're the one with the ribbon.
It's Chevet, yeah. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is my father and my mother. My father's name is Herschel, my mother's name is Reisel. And they found this after the war from a passport, and they enlarged it, and they sent it to me. My sister-in-law found it there. And she is must be from the passport pictures. And on the bottom, the little card is their engagement.
Go ahead.
The card on the bottom is the engagement of my parents, the Herschel and Reisel. My mother is wearing a wig.
Which was customary for
Yeah, this is the costume in the Jewish faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said my mother was wearing a wig in here. That was the costume. Whoever was religious, it was wearing a wig. Her daughter didn't wear already a wig. My sister was married, she didn't wear a wig. And also my brother's wife didn't wear any more wig. Now this was the old costume, And the religious, the hat what my father is wearing, this is the religious people was wearing that style of hats.
Jewish
That
people.
Jewish, like she the wig and he the hat.
Mm-hmm.
That was the religious tradition,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead.
This is my mother when she was single yet. This was a portrait hanging right over her bed in our house, which I remember very good. This picture you see, this is in front of their house. They lived in one of our houses in the side. There was another building. So my mother took him because she was diabetic. And this is my Bobby, Ratze, and this is the Mordche, they call the Mordchele.
Don't touch it, please.
And that's me. I don't know, maybe I was here 15. And this is already my brother's daughter. It's my little niece. She is alive in Israel. She was just here to visit me. She has 2 sons. She lives in Israel. My niece. And my niece is now, she must be already in the 60s. She's
Okay.
schwer.
Go ahead.
Well, my parents are sitting right here, my father, my mother, and that's me. I'm here around 15. This is my oldest brother. He must be about 20.
Next to him.
And next to him is my sister, and she was 17. And my little brother, the youngest, he must be about 12. Shabtai. He just died. This is a piece of tile from Auschwitz, from the oven. And on the bottom is ashes from my parents, from my Danik. And the tile is from his parents. They went in Auschwitz oven. My granddaughter Michelle climbed in the oven and brought it for us. The ashes will go with me, and the tile will go with my husband.